When I started working with remote workers, I really had a mindset that they weren't going to stick around for the long term, and I just paid them whatever hours that they worked, and that was that. However, over the years, I've had people stick around for years. My current staff, like one of my staff, for example, has been in my company for years. She's an integral part of our work that we do, even though she works on a contractual basis. And so my mindset has shifted, and how we benefit or reward our staff for being with us long term has also changed. And today I want to talk about one of those benefits, the healthcare or health insurance benefits that we offer indirectly. It's not a direct benefit in the same way that you would give an employee, but I want to talk about what we do, how we do it, and how we offer it to our contractors to incentivize them to stick around for the long term.
So the question is this: how do entrepreneurs like us, who don't have an endless supply of cash, how do we leverage the best apps, virtual assistants, automation tools, and systems to scale our businesses, increase our profits, and have more time to do what we love to do each day? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name's Dr. Steve Day, and this is Systemize Your Success.
So this, like so many of my episodes, has come from a direct question that somebody asked me. And that is like, what do I do in terms of healthcare and health insurance for our remote contractors? So these are not employees. These are people that work on an ad hoc basis. Sometimes they may work 40 hours a week. Sometimes they might work a little bit less, a little bit more. And they aren't, as I say, they're not legally employed by us. They are free to work with other people, although often they may work for weeks or even months at a time with just working for us. So they're contractors in the legal sense, but actually they're an integral part of our business. They are how we function. They do everything. They are way, way more than, in inverted commas, the virtual assistant that often people think about. The people that run my business are my remote team. That is the only staff I have, and therefore they are really the reason my business even exists. And so over the years, I've shifted my mindset hugely from thinking of virtual assistants as virtual assistants. I don't call them in meetings, or I'm inviting my virtual assistant along. It's like, no, that's my marketing manager, or my communications assistant, or my customer service manager. Whatever role they play in the business, that's what I refer to them as. And I've also shifted my mindset about how I reward them. And yes, obviously they get paid for the work they do, but also I think, like, what would be a great incentive for someone to want to stick around for the long term and actually work for me? And maybe they have other clients as well. For legal reasons, you have to let contractors work for other people if they choose to, because therefore they're not an employee of yours. But how can I incentivize them to want to stick around and keep on coming back to work for me time and time again? Because after all, we build up knowledge in people's heads. And yeah, I'm all about creating systems and documentation and making sure that we don't rely on the knowledge in people's heads. But ultimately, when people get good at doing something, when they know your business really well, when you've worked with them and developed a relationship with them, it makes things easier, quicker, more effective, more efficient. You get more done in the less time, and therefore your business benefits as a result. So for that person just to up and leave and never come back is a hit, regardless of how good your systems and documentation are. You're always going to have to retrain. Someone's going to have to get up to speed, all those sorts of cliche things you can say when people start. But ultimately, like, keeping people around, not having to go through the whole hiring process, the cost and the time, not having to trial and error of finding someone good, like all of that is huge amounts of time drain and also money drain for a small business owner. So getting people to stick around for long term is absolutely key, even if they are contractual. So one of the things that we try to offer is an incentive in terms of healthcare and health insurance. And although we don't offer it directly as an employer, we do give people a allowance each year for them to then buy their own healthcare insurance privately. And there's a couple of great sites and options that people have, and I'm often asking, well, which ones do we go for? And it does actually depend on where the person lives and their particular circumstances, like which is the best provider for them to go for. So I can't give you a specific answer, but there is a great site called mariahealth.ph, which actually has, it's a service where you can put some details in and it'll tell you the options you've got available. A bit like I guess like an insurance broker type thing where, you know, find the best deal type site. So you can basically put your details in and find out which is the best provider for your area where you're living and your circumstances, if you've got kids, etc., etc. And so that's a really good, useful resource. And what I typically do is ask them to go away and come back with, 3 choices and just a quick summary of the difference between the 3 and also obviously the cost as well. And often you can take these as either quarterly, 6 monthly or annual as well. So depending on how long the person's been with you, you may not want to commit to an entire year up front. You may say, okay, we'll do it on a quarterly basis for now, or maybe we'll review that going forward. And so therefore they come up with a cost, and then you can figure out, I'm going to go for a year, and maybe you can give them that allowance so they can go away and pay for that. And then I normally ask them just to give me the receipt just so I can see, let me see the receipt so I can see that they've actually done it. And that's it. And you can typically get insurance in the Philippines. It's not big money, like somewhere between say £200 and £400 or like $500 or whatever a year. That's the maximum that I would be expected to pay. I think the last time we did this, it cost around £300 for the year for one person and and their kid as well, if I remember correctly. But obviously you can just go and check out, and the prices are going to change. This is just a ballpark figure for you to actually get started with. And the other option, that's the healthcare insurance. So that covers sort of costs of unexpected hospitalization, etc. But there's also something called PhilHealth. So Phil as in Philippines Health. And this is something that actually in the Philippines, I believe it's mandated by law that employers have to provide it. But as a foreign employee, you don't have to do this. There's no legal obligation as a business who you are hiring contractors or remote workers on a non-employee basis. No obligation to do it, but because it is actually mandatory over there, then it can actually be quite a nice thing to offer that as well. And it's not expensive. I actually, off the top of my head, can't remember how much it was, and I should have looked up before I came on, so apologies for that. But it's not expensive at all, and it just means that they actually get reduced costs of bills, and they also get some. If they go into hospital, things, they get reduced costs, they get money back for what they have to pay to go into hospital. And so that can be something you can look at alongside the health insurance. My understanding is they go hand in hand rather than one or the other. And so typically you would have both. That's what I understand from what my employees, my remote workers have told me over the years. So that's it really. I just wanted to emphasize like today, that we can offer some great incentives for people to keep coming back working for us for the long term, even if they are contractors. We can't do things in exactly the same way as if they were an employee and offer things like through employee schemes, etc., because that would then actually turn them into the employee status, which changes the whole tax shenanigans. So that gets complicated, and it's beyond my jurisdiction to talk about that stuff. But what we can do is be mindful of what can we offer people, and maybe just give them like a cash bonus so they can go away and get some of these benefits as if they were an employee, but actually just doing it on a private basis. So with anything like this, you've just got to be really careful that you don't get on the wrong side of employment law. So if you have any questions at all, there's a great company I actually started working with called Coffee Clutch. And it's coffee with a K, Coffee Clutch. And they offer legal advice for working with remote workers and things. So make sure you don't fall foul of employment law and things when you're just working with people on a contractual basis. So worth checking out as well. And I'll put some links into the show notes for them as well. Great. So that's it for today. Hope that was useful. A little tip for giving something of a bonus to your remote workers to hopefully get them to stick around for the long term, and also some advice about how we do it within our business. Thanks so much indeed. Have a great day. Oh, and always, please do share, like, and comment on this post. Or if you were listening to this on a podcast, leave us a quick review, hit us up with some stars, and spread the word so we can get this podcast out to many more people and help more small business owners achieve true life purpose, passion, prosperity, and freedom. Thank you very much. Bye.